And we're live. We better be live. I think I made it public. Better be public. So today I'm going to talk about what kind of foods to eat on keto, but I want to talk about DAO, diamine oxidase, and also oxalobacter, which is the bacteria missing in people's gut to break down histamine. So I only got about 30 minutes to cram this sucker in, and then I got to run out the door. What's up, everyone? Hi, everybody. Before I forget, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, where I talk about this stuff every day. Whereas on YouTube, I'm doing live streams now every other day because it's taxing just a little bit. And also, you can go to my keto Facebook course through my website. You have to sign up, stephanieperson.com. And I'm just doing this now before I have to run out of the stream. So let me get some water. What's up, Deborah? Remind me, Deborah, I only have, let's see here. Technically, I've got, my watch is fast. I've got 25 minutes, 30, maybe 30 to knock this out. So as I drink some water, you guys don't forget to drink water. So I run a keto course page, and I'm going to talk about this subject ad nauseum this coming week. Okay, thank you. Now, this is quite interesting as I'm getting texts that are distracting me. I mentioned diamine oxidase a while ago now. It's been a couple months. And then I kind of left it alone. And then I find the subject again and I start researching it. And I ran across Chris Masterjohn, I think that's how you say his name, I'm not sure. Anyway, he was talking about it and it started making sense. And then I started going down the rabbit's hole more about histamine intolerance and, just finding more chunky information. And then I've been applying this concept onto this course page and talking to my members and doing experiments. Now, we all know that the gut is the problem. So it's everything you stick in your mouth is going to affect this, which is going to affect the whole body. And that's why I titled it, What Foods to Eat on Keto. 15 push-ups, that's easy. Come on, Brad. Seriously, you're going to make it a little harder for me? 15 push-ups, really, though? I can do one arm 15 push-ups, Brad. Which is true. Now, with that said, and I don't have time, and I'm going to throw on some clothes and run out the door. Okay, so, yes, about the foods that you eat on keto are really interesting now. So I'm starting to understand people have got problems with gallstones and gout and certain meats and the bacteria on the meat. And then we've got what vegetables do we eat. It's not just, people feel so limited on keto, but I just can't keep understanding that denial is not just a river in Egypt, not England, Egypt. People are so freaking messed up, and they're caring about cleaning up their diet to make their health more amazing. So, everything you stick in your mouth, and actually what you put on your skin really is going to affect your health. But let's talk about what you put in the gullet, and it ends up here, and then messes you up. This is the reason why a lot of you guys are not adapting. Now, like online and on television, the stars are, I'm doing keto, and I did keto with intermittent fasting, and then you see these before and after pictures, but I can see absolute and total catabolism with their body. They're like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, they look sloppy. The skin is become crepey. This is what happens when you do this protocol wrong. So it's really important to understand what you're eating and don't get caught up in the hype of what you see online and on television, because it is nonsense. Okay, so Whitney, I'm not a big weight loss person, and when you say you're down 16 pounds, I don't know if it's water, I don't know if it's skin, bone marrow, muscle, collagen, I have no idea. So that's the reason why I don't celebrate weight loss that much, because like keto is so interesting, you guys. Just stop texting me, I'm gonna freaking break my phone. He's like, constant, constant, constant. If you're watching, stop. Stop leaving messages, blinding my screen. Okay, so the point that I'm saying is that everything that you do on a ketogenic protocol and everything you put in your mouth is so important. And I'm going to break it down because if you guys want to get better, don't cry because you feel limited. Because if you feel limited, don't do this dietary measure. It is not for the weak at heart. So, when I'm talking about diamine oxidase or DAO, it is an enzyme that helps break down histamine. That's what it does. Helps break down histamine. And what I'm finding out is like you guys are real histamined out. So when you think you're having like seasonal allergies, there's that whole controversy between are you actually having a cold or flu or are you just racked up with histamine? People don't know. They're like, oh, it's allergies. And I'm like, no, you have a cold. No, it's I have a cold. No, you've got leaky gut. You've got histamine. So how you develop histamine intolerance typically is from the two major causes would be not being able to methylate or low stomach acid or having leaky gut, holes in the small intestinal wall. And this is the problem because histamine is not a bad thing. We're supposed to have histamine in our body. But the overproduction, or I don't even think it's the overproduction, it's the production of histamine that your body cannot handle is the problem. So if you're eating high histamine foods and you've got low stomach acid or gut permeability issues, then the histamine, your reaction to the histamine is horrible. So what can we do to fix that? It's literally, I realize it's not just eating bone broth and taking glutamine supplements. Because if you guys have, and here's the thing, people are like, oh, take bone broth if you have histamine intolerance. But if you are sensitive to glutamate, which is a protein in the bone marrow, then you're going to react to that. So you really got to, deconstruct and really go through everything to try to understand how to fix yourself. So, yeah. So maybe not a bone broth. You really have to go and check to see how sensitive you are to everything. So here's another thing, Josh. You lost 85 pounds in 1 year doing keto. The best thing that you're saying right now is that it took you a year. So, but I'm not a big weight loss person right now. I really want to talk about DAO and talk about the reason, what foods you need to eat, how you need to have a rotation schedule, why you're not adapting, how this is all connected to your thyroid and your blood sugar dysregulation, which completely blocks your keto adaptation. So a lot of people with thyroid are like, issues, can I do keto? And I'm like, yeah, of course. But then there's all these things that we have to consider. So, yeah. So so not having this enzyme or not having the oxalobacter bacteria in the gut also makes it difficult to break down and digest oxalates. Oxalates. So you guys are getting kidney stones, oxalates in freaking spinach and other high oxalate foods. So with that said, how do you fix this, right? Because histamine intolerance can look like allergies, like sneezing and sniffles and sinus infections and feeling a pressure in your head, headaches, chronic headaches, also like the itchy scalp, red scalp, flaking scalp, the candida, because this is histamine is working hand in hand with that leaky gut. And with the low stomach acid. So you might have those symptoms of low stomach acid, which is burping, yes. And a lot of you guys develop, because you're having digestive issues, leaky gut issues, now you're having malabsorption issues. So if you're eating foods that might help reestablish that DAO, you may not be getting it in because you have holes in the gut wall. Now you're malabsorptive. So essentially, by what I've been reading and what Chris Masterjohn is prefacing and putting a lot of attention on is selenium and vitamin A. Two big ones. So of course you can get selenium in liver. Amazing. But the food that he says that's really high and helping to reestablish a DAO is kidneys, like back here. kidneys? And I was like, beef kidney. Of course. Voila, the missing link, kidneys, right? Animal source foods for your zinc, your copper, your selenium, your vitamin D. These are things that are going to help strengthen that gut wall and your thyroid and reestablish the DAO. And I was like, that all makes sense, right? Yes. To like up the chat, you guys, you just collapse that little X in the window and you'll see a thumbs up. You hit the like button and then reopen the chat to like up the stream because we've got 49 people here. Ooh, we're kind of thin on people tonight. What's going on this Saturday night? And we only have 18 likes. If you guys can like up the stream, that'll help bring more people into the chat. So that makes sense with people. Oh, you liked it. Awesome. Ketone burner. So this makes sense why a lot of you guys are not adapting. It's not just thyroid, adrenal. It's actually the absorption of these nutrients, minerals, fat-soluble vitamins to help reestablish things like DAO and to protect your thyroid. Everything works together. And I was like, I'm always saying don't take a bunch of supplements. There is supplement toxification that can happen to your body. Your body understands food, right? Your body is its own pharmacy. It knows how to take something, extract what it needs, poop out the fiber, you're good to go. It knows how to take what it needs without over-toxifying the system. But supplements are really on the edge of be very careful. So people ask me, should I take beef? Can I take beef, desiccated beef liver supplements? I'm like, just eat the beef. And you guys are grown people. Stop killing me. Stop. Just eat the real food. Stop trying to get in supplementation for. Unless you're living in somewhere in Asia and you can order grass-fed liver, desiccated liver, but you can't get it then that would be a solution to getting your freaking important vitamins and minerals. That could be a solution. So, you're loving liver right now, lamb and chicken. Lamb and chicken is really, really good. Actually, even a little bit better than the taste of beef, but I actually like beef liver. So, I'm starting to realize that if you guys have histamine intolerance, and you're pounding down, and you have leaky gut, and you're pounding down the fermented foods, that creates an explosion of your body not being able to deal with histamine. These are very high histamine foods, are fermented foods. And everybody's trying to take them, and some probiotics. So people are like, oh, I got leaky gut. I'll just take probiotics, and then I'll take some fermented foods. And I'm like, no, you have to clear out the weeds before you plant the seeds. So the seeds are probiotic seeds, probiotics that you find in fermented foods. So clearing out the weeds would be rotation of your foods. Every 3-4 days, you're going to rotate. You're not just going to have the same thing every day because you can eat the same thing. If you're trying to heal the gut, if you're trying to create more DAO in your body, that enzyme production, you need to rotate. Because if you keep adding in foods that, number one, aren't giving you DAO, number two, are creating a histamine response, you're not going to fix the body. You're just going to continue as you get older having problems, and you're not going to adapt very well. Because if your body's having an inflammatory reaction to the histamine, right, your body can't fight off the histamine. The overproduction, is it really overproduction? In some aspects, because your body is like, well, all this histamine, but in reality, it's just your body can't deal with the histamine reaction. You don't have the equipment to break down the histamine. And this is the reason why so many of you guys are not adapting. So you're just shoving anything in your mouth. You're eating nuts, and you're eating cheese, and you're eating all these things that are like poking holes in the gut wall, creating histamine responses, leaky gut, candida explosion. People are like, can I do almonds? Can I do nuts? I'm like, you all have candida. Just that enough should stop you. Because nuts have a ton of mold on it, of mycotoxins. You can't see it. Then often there's too many carbs, and then of course there's all the phytates in the dang nuts that are also blocking that keto adaptation, creating inflammation in the body. And that's why I see so many people with their numbers being weird. Now, the two people are like, oh, I lost weight on keto. Let me tell you something right now. You can eat a bunch of processed food, and your insulin is too high, your blood sugar is too high, your A1C is too high, you take out all those processed carbohydrates and sugars, and then you do a ketogenic diet, and your insulin drops for the short amount of time. And then you start to lose weight. You lose water, you lose muscle, you lose a little fat. You're like, look how much I lost on keto. But you actually didn't lose the weight, right? The fat that you're wanting to. You actually are creating second and third metabolic issues. Issues with your thyroid. Issues with your adrenal system. If you have hypoglycemia, you make it worse. So, diamine oxidase, that's DAO, diamine oxidase. So it's an enzyme that helps to break down the histamine when we're eating foods that are higher in histamine. And so a lot of you guys feel like you've got all these weird elements, creaks and pains and aches and sniffles and sinus infections and this and that and a third and mucus and blah, blah, blah. And you would never equate it to the food that you eat. You're like, oh no, it's just I have allergies. But nobody goes down the rabbit's hole to try to find out what's going on. Is it the gut? Is it the lack of DAO? Which one? Is it both? Is it the fact that you don't methylate? Do you have the MTHFR gene mutation? All of these things matter. You have histamine sensitivity, exactly. So then you have to reestablish that enzyme to break down the histamine by getting selenium, vitamin A, and eating some freaking liver and some kidneys. It's time, you guys, to go back to what we used to eat, which is the organ meats, because they're so plump full with vitamins, minerals. Super important to protect your body, to give tools to fix cells, because without absorbing those vitamins and minerals, that's when people have a difficulty creating enough DAO in the body. Also with being able to deal with their gut problems, their leaky gut, to strengthen the gut wall, right? With glutamine, for example, which is an amino acid which will help seal those open junctions so they're tight. So then big particles of food are not now entering the bloodstream and your body's attacking yourself. Everything matters on keto. I know we don't want to be that picky, but you just can't go and grab a bunch of nuts and drink some coffee, which is very histamine reactive, and drink some alcohol from time to time. Thank you, RTY Pepe, who always is donating to the super chat. Thank you very much. We see already planned Christmas dinner, roast prime rib, butter, cabbage, cauliflower mashed potato, butter gravy made with pureed chicken liver and broccoli. My hubby is not keto, but he will eat this meal. Of course. So RTY Pepe, that's a little bit of a side note because a lot of people may not be able to eat those cruciferous vegetables. And if you do have cruciferous, make sure you rotate them. Cruciferous vegetables, make sure you rotate them, because right now I'm putting so much stress on people who've got histamine intolerance, and those cruciferous ones a lot of people react to. So you have to go and eat one food group, see if you react, right? If you have any of those symptoms, you clear everything out, and then week by week you'll add one food group back. You got cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, your apple cider vinegar, your fish that's not fresh, cod that's frozen, for example, with that bacteria on the meats, and also the bacteria on the fish is another problem with the histamine. Take out all the fermented foods for now, and then slowly bring one food back in to see how your body responds, and then start rotating the foods. If you're a woman, it's probably be about 4. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm going to look at the time. So I'm going to take a few of your questions. So here's the thing. The thing is what foods to eat on keto. It's obviously the cruciferous vegetables. It's fatty meats. It's not lean meats. It's not tuna. It's not, people are like, can I have tilapia? I'm like, no, it's corn-fed and it's like a white meat. You want to have butter. You want to have beef tallow. You want to have lard as your primary animal fats. Plus, and that's extra on top of the fat on the meat. And I really tell people don't do salads, especially people who've got histamine intolerance or leaky gut or whatever, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Don't do salads. Cook your veggies. And if you're still responding to the foods, if you're bloated, that's another huge symptom, then rotate or deconstruct and then add one food group back at a time. You have to hit at least 200 grams of fat or higher on a ketogenic protocol. So if you're eating a bunch of butter and you're reacting to the whey or casein in the butter, which is another high histamine food, right? That's why people are like, I can't do dairy. Then you got to take it out. You can try ghee, and if that's a problem, you got to take all of it out because your gut is not going to heal. It's not going to seal up tight until you take those foods out and start to heal that gut wall. And also another thing, to be able to get DAO in the body with the foods and with the E and the selenium and also the other foods for the diet, the thyroid, which is D and zinc, and you also have to get copper in there, and not too much copper, obviously, because it can be very toxic. So you got to get this from real food, because if you take these things in supplement, zinc or copper in supplementation form, hello toxicity, vitamin D, hello toxicity, selenium, hello toxicity, you guys. So try to get this all from real food. And yeah, you got to be picky about everything. You've got to literally go, okay, I can only have cruciferous vegetables, maybe green beans, maybe mushrooms if you don't have any candida overgrowth. Then you have to rotate the foods because you don't want to eat mono foods. And then things like egg whites and nuts, no nuts anyway, even macadamia nuts, and all these types of foods you have to sort of rotate and journal how they make your body react. Because if you get headachy, bloaty, gassy. Oh, another thing is about the menstrual cycle he was talking about, which is quite interesting, because women are on their cycle, their blood sugar goes bananas. And when your estrogen rises, that's another thing that makes it difficult to be able to get DAO into the system. So I will talk about that later. I'm going to study that more. I'm going to take your guys' questions right now. Thank you. What is it? Blex? Thank you. Ketone burner, my friend said the same, but now ask how they got started. Let me see. Keto and intermittent fasting the same time. No intermittent fasting at all. So there is no, do I do them at the same time? You don't do them at all. Now you could do keto carnivore at the same time, but no fasting. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that fasting is just calorie restriction. It's just anorexia. It's just dieting. Nobody does it right. People have fracked up bodies before they even do it, and then they just become super crepey in their skin, dark under their eyes, low in electrolytes, and they don't understand why they're having heart palpitations. Hello? Hello? What's your favorite liver recipe? There is no favorite liver recipe. I either do two things. Either main thing is I saute it, I marinate it in butter, and I saute it very, very lightly on my iron skillet. Simple. Boop. But people like to use spring onions because bulb onions like red or the big white onions are not ketogenic because they caramelize when you cook them. You don't only get the green parts of the spring, those long onions. You don't take the bulb, you take the long bit, and you could saute it with the liver. You could add like freaking salt. If you don't have a response to nightshade issue with the pepper, then you do salt, pepper, garlic. Simple. I mean, it's not that hard. For those who are like, I can't do liver, just mix it with ground beef. Just make a patty out of it. Take the liver, take the beef, mix it together. But I think a lot of you guys who've got histamine intolerance, reactions to food, seasonal allergies, should consider getting some liver and some kidney and some heart. But liver and kidney are the main. Liver's number one. I bought organic rendered beef tallow from grass-fed animals, and when trying to cook it gives me food. What? That gives food truly a terrible taste? Oh, Christina, that's simple. All you have to do is when you take lard or tallow, I tell people to do this. Just go, if you don't have a histamine response to some of these, salicylates and the herbs and all this stuff, you could just take some herbs. All I do is, for me, I don't have a histamine. Luckily, I don't have a DAO or an oxalobacter problem. I can eat spinach all day long and not react at all. No bloat, no nothing. Just pound it right down. But what I do personally, which not everyone can do because this is a histamine stream, is just looked at the time, lost my thought. You take the beef tallow, you put it in a saucepan, all right? You add some salt. You can always add some salt. If you don't have a problem with pepper, you can add pepper. If not, take the pepper out, or add garlic or some Italian herbs, thyme, oregano, basil, and let it slow cook for 20 minutes, low temperature. Put it into a mason jar, so when you put it on your food, that beef tallow, it tastes amazing. Simple. Y'all don't know how to cook. What's going on with you people? I have to tell so many people how to cook. The most basic thing. What's up with that? So carnivore really is just good for people who, like I said, you have a DAO issue, so the organ meats are really great. You cannot do the carnivore diet without it being keto and organ meats. Forget about it. You're going to have serious electrolyte issues, serious issues with getting enough of your micro and macronutrients in there. Or your vitamins and minerals, more so. I started keto, and now I have not had a single hot flash. Very good. Because so many women are tortured by hot flashes and endometriosis, cysts, and fibroids, and premenopause, perimenopause, and all that's horrible. I eat liver, kidney, heart, egg yolks. There you go. And egg yolks, exactly. Elsa, you are doing awesome. People should do what Elsa's doing. Okay? So people are talking about intermittent fasting. It's like, okay, are you malabsorptive? What's the state of your gut? Do you take a dump? Like, people don't even think about that kind of stuff. Do you have heart palpitations? Do you have muscle cramps? Well, who cares? I'm just going to do this intermittent fasting anorexia thing, and who cares? You guys, you have to think about everything to find homeostasis. That's a balance. So you got to figure out, were you breastfed? Were you vaginally birthed? Like, did you take rounds of antibiotics in your life? Are you on certain medications will also block DAO? Birth control pills, all this kind of weird stuff, because that's going to factor in on if you can sleep at night. Yes, honey. Yes. Things that help you sleep. Vitamin A. Yes, honey. Selenium. Yes. You guys, we are malabsorptive, or we don't even get enough of our vitamins and minerals. And then we want to do these crazy crash diets when we want to do carnivore diet, we want to do intermittent fasting, but your particular body may not be well equipped to do those things. So you have to go and start to repair, look deeper, and find out what your issues are. Okay, so you can do keto carnivore. I never think of just carnivore. For me, a carnivore diet is keto carnivore of animal fats. So, and people who are good candidates for the carnivore diet are people with like DAO, diamine oxidase deficiency. They're perfect. People with histamine intolerance, leaky gut, they're perfect for this keto carnivore dietary measure. Perfect. Yes, lots of fungus and pesticides on peanuts, like a lot. Bees pollen. I believe that bee pollen spikes your blood sugar, according to long time ago people trying it. But it's been a while. Does what keto? Stephanie, you've been 25. Ooh, thank you. What time is it? It's time for me to go, guys. Deborah is right. Peanuts are legumes. Yep, they destroy your gut and health cause. And they also create histamine intolerance, which is the subject of today. Let me see. Started carnivore. I feel great, but my glucose is coming up around. See? Narita says, started carnivore and I feel great, but my glucose is coming up around 105 higher than B. So we got to figure out what meats are you eating. Are you doing organ meats? Are you rotating? Are you getting enough fat in? Because your body's freaking out because you may not be getting enough of the equipment on a carnivore diet, depending on what meats you're eating and what fat that you're eating, and if you're eating all throughout the day. And it could be creating a stress to the body, which would make you catabolic. Okay, guys, I better go. Thank you so much for joining this stream. And yeah, I gotta bounce. I wasn't gonna do a stream, but I was like, I'll just do a really quick one. So thank you guys for joining tonight. And for those, if you don't mind liking up the stream, you've got to collapse the X in the right corner, hit the thumbs up, and then reopen the chat well, now I'm gonna go. But just on the replay, liking up the stream just helps bring more people to this channel. I'm trying to get people to look at their health deeper than just cream cheese and nuts and coffee and intermittent fasting. I'm trying to actually get people to adapt by going like, am I bloated? Am I itchy? Is there something wrong with my skin? Is my bum itching? Like the Janus, like bumps and things and aches and pains and bloatedness and digestive issues that you can't understand, and the ringing in your ears and numbness on the fingertips and the numbness in the legs, and why you wake up 5,000 times a night. Because if you don't address those things and you're doing keto, you're not going to adapt. So all this stuff you see on the line, like, oh, I did keto and look how much weight I lost, they weren't adapted. And I promise you, they develop a thyroid condition after that, but nobody talks about it because nobody wants to look like an idiot. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining the chat, and I'm out. Until next time. Yes. You guys want me to talk about something in particular, comment below on a subject that you want me to go live about, and I will do that because people keep hitting me on my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, and they're not going to YouTube and telling me what they want me to talk about. All right, guys. Bye. Right? 11 years, 51 on keto, and I'm out.